She's still laughing.
That's so funny. Welcome to 5 Lemons Left. We're the real stuff, the lemons making lemonade. So pucker up, because we're going to be discussing our life's lessons and the nitty-gritty details of our spiritual journeys.
Hey y'all, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Drusilla.
I'm Melissa.
Hello, this is Morgan.
And I'm Penny. Welcome to our podcast today.
Well, welcome everyone. We are 5 Lemons Laughing, but today we are only 4, and we miss Amanda. She's dealing with some things, and we just send her so much love and our best, and we miss her. But the rest of us are here laughing at stupid jokes and some dirty ones. And we wanted to talk today about the complexity of women and the complexity of who we are and what we do and how we feel. And we talk a lot about spirituality. Of course, that's what this podcast is about. But today we wanted to talk about the complexity of Drusilla. So Drusilla is a movie maker, and she was gone for a few weeks making a movie and also probably making that movie a lot longer than 3 weeks, but she missed us for 3 weeks. So we want to hear all about it. We want to hear about that side of Drusilla. Who is the movie maker? And tell us about your creativity and what it takes to make a movie. I'm so fascinated by it because it's so conceptual, but you make these concepts reality. And I just can't even start to think about how you do that. So tell us a little bit about the movie that you're making now, and tell us a little bit about your past, because you are a movie maker. You've made other movies, and people could search your name and find you on Amazon, find you on Google. So tell us a little bit about what you've done and what you're doing now.
Wow, that's a lot. Melissa, you ask a lot of questions. Pop that up a little bit.
And I don't give you time to answer, right? Just asking questions.
Well, thank you for being interested in it. It's been 30 years in the making, actually, even though I am a new independent filmmaker. I actually fell in love with movies when I saw Gone with the Wind, right? Oh my God, one of my favorite films of all times. And so when I was in college, I was so in love with film and the making of movies that I wanted to move to LA to do that for a living. And I lived in South Carolina at the time. And my best friend from high school, she agreed to go with me. And so I packed up my apartment, gave my notice to my job, because I had a job as well. And, told my family about it. And 2 weeks before it was time to go, she chickened out on me. Hence, I finished college, start working in human resources, and that was it. That became my life.
You didn't go.
I did not go. I was too afraid to drive across the country and do what I, wanted to do. So I didn't go. Fear.
You delayed. Fear.
Yes. So, but I never stopped studying it. I remember, it's so strange that I studied psychology, but the most interesting part of my college career, the part that I remember the most, is when we got to do projects and they let us do something related to a play or something. And then I could write it. I had no desire to be in front of the camera. Always wanted to write and create screenplays, right? And I studied, even since I moved to Atlanta 20 years ago, I always still took classes related to screenwriting. And I did take acting classes too, just because they're always so interwoven. And then it wasn't until actually COVID happened, and I had been already kind of in a transitional career state. I'm also a licensed real estate agent. So with that comes a lot of flexibility in your schedule. And during COVID, there wasn't a lot of activity going on as it related to real estate. And I just was doing so much fasting and praying about what my purpose was and what I really should be doing, because I certainly wasn't fulfilled in that capacity, and I just woke up one day, and it was also, all the protest about police brutality was going on at the same time. And woke up one day and said, we have to be doing something in relation to that, right? And so one of my good friends said, well, I came across this young lady, and she's in the entertainment industry, not specifically film. And I think you should just talk to her. And it sounds like maybe you want to do a podcast or something. And I laughed so hard because I'm like, I like to talk to a podcast. But I met with the lady, and she was actually only a couple of years out of college. But she was producing a radio station, and she was also a producer on a podcast, and she had produced a short film. So in talking with her, she ended up saying to me, Drusilla, it really sounds like you want to make movies, you know? And I said, well, yeah, but I don't have any experience. I don't have the money. I don't have, anything actually. Like, how do I even begin? And she said, well, if you are interested in what's going on in the world right now, then why don't you just do a documentary? It doesn't cost as much money. And, I know people in the industry that might be willing to do it because they are passionate about the topic as well. So that was the beginning. I ended up self-funding that project, and that's the Unlearning of Us, which was started out to be one documentary, but is a docuseries. So the other episodes, there's one episode out on Amazon right now, and the other episodes are underway. And the film that I just finished, that I just wrapped on production on, is also based on a true story, but it is a feature film. Interestingly enough, I had before now never been on a real movie set outside of my. When you ask the question, Melissa, how do you go from one point to another? You just trust. You trust in what you believe in about yourself. You trust in your decision about the topic. You, trust that it wasn't given to you by happenstance, that it was meant for you to do exactly that. And it does take a lot of faith and conviction in what you're doing, because the moment that I decided yes was me picking up the phone and calling someone else and telling them that I wanted them to work on this project, right? And once you do that, you can't hardly put it back in the bag, right? So I did it just so quickly that I could not change my mind if I wanted to. And so I ended up with a core team of 6 people. who was a director of photography who had worked with me on one of the other episodes of the docuseries. And he was so committed that all he asked of me was to work with him on one of his projects when the time comes. So he was committed. And then three of the other people also worked on the other project as well. And then we had only one person who actually went to film school at Oglethorpe University, and she graduated a year ago. So she was the most inexperienced, but had the most relevant experience. And so we all just started, doing development work. The script was written. So during the time I was working on the documentary, my niece passed away at 31 years of age, and she was a hip hop music promoter. And I always found her life, her story to be so compelling. Like, how did you come up with that? Like, you went to college and you came home somebody different, somebody that I didn't know, but I so valued what she was doing, right? And unfortunately, when she passed away at the beginning of 2020, and she wasn't tested for COVID, and she died from a blood clot. And it was just the strangest situation for our family and for young people her age. And she had such a big following that I kind of knew immediately that that was going to be a story that I would tell at some point, And so when anyone that I've asked to come aboard to be a part of the project, when they know the story, it just becomes an instant attraction for them. So the 6 of them plus myself set out to get the story out there. It was already written, but we kind of fine-tuned it, put together. You basically have to go out and scout locations based on the story. So there's club scenes, there's Waffle House, there's, you name it, just all kinds of places that you kind of have to weave into the story. And so I didn't have funding for this one either. So my husband and we do renovate homes, and we had some funding left over from a home that we'd renovated before. And so we basically invested in my project again. And right now we've just wrapped on the production, and now we're going into post-production. Pre-planning is basically where you sit down and you scout out and you kind of plan out what it all would look like down to the day and the hours. Typically, you're going to spend maybe up to 4 hours on any one scene, which might end up being 2 to 3 minutes in a film, right? And easily you could spend a whole day and not get 10 minutes worth of footage, right? And so that's all of the pre-planning. And then when you get to actual production is when you have a schedule, you have your cast, you have your crew, and you basically put out there how many weeks you're going to spend, how many days a week, and each location. And then you secure those locations as well. And then once you do all of that, then you end up in post-production, where you might have, 50 hours worth of footage or something that gets chopped and chopped and chopped down to 90 minutes to 2 hours or something like that. And then it all has to get colorized, which is the process of seeing it all and it looking seamless from beginning to end. The color grading, whether something looks gritty or whether it looks polished and corporate looking and all of those types of elements. making sure the sound is consistent throughout is a part of post-production. And then also adding a soundtrack to it. And then, of course, creating the trailer to it and kind of packaging it up, coming up with the posters, the look and feel of that, and all of that, which is typically another 4 to 6 months for post-production.
Wow, that really sounds pretty intense, Drusilla, especially over a short period of time. So I'm really curious, and I think our listeners will want to know, like, how did you keep the faith, and what was your daily spiritual practice? I'm really curious how did that all unfold?
Great question, Penny. I'm going to answer it pretty cut and dry up front, and then I'll give you the backstory. There was, on the surface, no spiritual practice once we started production, meaning I didn't do what I normally do, is waking up in the morning and doing meditation and having time to do yoga. There's just not that kind of time unless you burn it at both ends, right? So
Mhm.
I would, our schedule consisted of 12-hour filming days. That's the schedule. So some days we actually went over. So there would be 14-hour days. And that's not counting getting to from where you're going, wherever that might be, right?
Mhm.
And it didn't include that I had 3 of the cast members living in my home with me, right? So it didn't include any of that. So with that being said, what I found to be most amazing is the quiet and stillness of what I brought with me on set every day. That was already ingrained because of the work that I had already been doing. So the spirituality, it doesn't leave just because you don't have time to do those spiritual practices that you would normally do. And that's what I found to be most amazing, is that it did freak me out a little, Kenny, that I didn't have that practice going. And I kept waking up thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to catch up to me. I know it is. I can say within, I don't know, maybe 10 years that I've never gone 3 whole weeks without laying in bed, praying or meditating or doing yoga or going for a long walk. Never. And so I just kept saying, oh my goodness, this is going to catch up to me. And in the end, what I found was people were just looking at me. When I say people, that's crew, cast. We ended up with a cast of 38, with a crew of 6, and with a team of 6. But they were amazed that I didn't buckle under the pressure of it all, or that I didn't have a meltdown at all. You know, um, in the end, I wasn't surprised, even though I kept saying to myself, oh my gosh, it's going to catch up to me. I knew instantly what it was. You know, it was just having the faith that all is well, all is good.
Well, and I also think that all those years that you've been filling your spiritual bank really paid off. You had an abundant account as you
Yes,
entered into this project. And so
I
you're
did.
able to
I felt
pull from
that.
your savings.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And there were times when I felt like things that we talked about on here would be like, the little thing sitting on your shoulders. And it's like, and it was like, oh gosh.
Little lemons on your
Yes, it was all coming. It was all paying off. All the conversations, all the things that we talked about, situations that I never imagined that would come up or that someone would say that would trigger something. I mean, we literally had on the very first day on the set, in which again, this is my first day on anybody's set. And it's like, okay, you're the director, so everybody's depending on you, though, some of the crew, they have as many as maybe 6 or 10 credits under their belt. And we had a person to show up on our set who was not affiliated with our film. She was pissed off because we were filming at the gas station, which was near her dry cleaning. And she was concerned that we should not be filming at the gas station because she needs to drop off her cleaning. And though she could drive through and get to her cleaning just fine, she had concerns that we were even there. And and so everyone is looking at me like, what are you going to do about this woman? And so
did you think that it was Melissa?
it was just, it was just the strangest situation. And I knew it was just kind of a test of me and my mental and emotional capacity to deal with things. And I would say after that, and it was just an easy being nice to her, and just not accepting what she was trying to give me, and and later it was just something that everybody laughed about because it was like, oh goodness, it wasn't me who was, standing there, and this woman was literally in my face, like pointing in my face. And I would say after that, it was pretty smooth sailing in terms of, I think everybody probably felt more secure that I had things under control.
You had the capability and the capacity to do it. Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
You know how you have a project and you push and push and push through it and push it and force it and maneuver it and manipulate it. Did you have that, or did it just flow? Was it just kind of a divine project?
It's like, oh my goodness, I can't even begin to tell you how many things didn't happen the way we planned for it to happen. I'll just say a couple of things so you can just get the gist. 2 people who were supposed to be in the film, and they were the only 2 people who are even well known on a regional level, got sick.
Oh.
One person, we created a role for her just to get some star quality in it. She got sick first. The next person we secured, because at the beginning of the film, it's going to be like a talk show, and this person is a talk show host. She got hospitalized. She went on a cruise and got hospitalized in the middle of our filming. So neither one of those people were able to be in the film. We had an Airbnb that we were renting for 2 days of filming. And on Sunday, I just got an email that it was canceled. I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't even know that once you paid, somebody could cancel on you on your Airbnb. And we were set to be there on Tuesday.
Wow.
And we're talking about, over a 2-day period, we probably had 15 cast people that were going to be filming at that location. So it's not as easy as go somewhere else. No, it's a matter of making sure that all 15 people can be somewhere else at a different part of town. And it's just, So nothing was as it was supposed to be ever on any given day, But that's the part where you have to, the peace beyond understanding comes into play. I didn't know.
Explain that a little bit. Explain what you mean by that.
Yeah. So I didn't feel like I had the room or the space to even freak out.
Mhm.
I didn't, it wasn't even an option, you know? And I'm hoping that's a way of life, from this point forward. But yeah, I didn't feel it coming, and I didn't feel that I had the room for it anyways.
So you feel like it will work out. It
Mhm.
worked out, and it for some reason that you may not know of yet, somehow within the finished product, it will work out.
And even better,
Mm.
even better. And I say that
Mm.
because very early on, we also had another location issue where the club owner, who we had shot some scenes at the back of his club, and they turned out absolutely perfect. Well,
Mm.
the following weekend, we were supposed to go to South Carolina to use the actual front of the club, which is the actual club. And he did not get his license to open the weekend that we were supposed to be there. And we ended up using a location here in Atlanta. We were going there for authenticity because that's
Mhm.
where most of the stories would have happened. But we ended up using a location here in Atlanta, and it probably saved me, $10,000.
Mm.
Wow.
See, yeah.
You know, and it was just so many things that happened that way that I just wouldn't allow me to have anxiety around things when they didn't happen the way I thought or the way we planned for them to happen.
Right.
Sounds like you didn't have any attachments to the outcomes.
Yes. And I think I got a lot of practice of that too while we were casting, because there were times when we were casting and someone would come through and they would be so stellar in their acting skills. But for some reason, I knew they weren't the person.
Mhm.
And everybody sitting around, the team that was a part of the development team with me, um, they would be so sold. And it was so hard for me to go against them because now I'm thinking, okay, what if I pick someone else and then they flop? Yes. But every time that we ended up going with the other person, they would always end up saying, "Oh my God, they're just so perfect." And they would meet the family member, and the family member that would be that person that they're acting as would be like, "Oh my God, it's so perfect. Like, how did you even pick this person?" And it just took being patient with myself and trusting. Trusting,
Mm.
I think, is it.
Mm. Mhm.
Trusting. And not being attached, like you said, Penny,
Mhm.
not being attached.
So will you tell us what was the moment or what was the time in COVID where things were just as they have had been for a while in your life, and you were just like, I am going to make a movie. I this It's my time. My dream has come back, and I am going to make a movie.
Yeah. So that conversation with the young lady, um, I actually was in my backyard planting flowers. And we had gone in circles about this podcast thing and about the radio station. And the friend that actually referred me, she was really kind of sold on the podcast because she wanted to do the podcast with me. And I knew that wasn't it. I knew that wasn't it. It just wasn't resonating with me at all. And so, we continue this conversation. And then when she says, sounds like to me that you want to create a film, I literally started crying because
Mm,
I hadn't had that wish, that desire, and that dream. And at least maybe 3, 4 years, I hadn't taken a class, I hadn't done anything. It was as if I let the dream go or something. But when she said it right then, I knew.
mm.
And I just cried it felt like I cried those 30 years away.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I said, it's not too late.
No.
It's just
Wow,
not
you
too late.
released. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
That is
I feel
beautiful.
that. I feel like we can all like relate to that moment, that just where you felt so seen and were seeing yourself, allowing yourself to see that. Yes, that is what I would like.
Yes. Yes. And it took a 23-year-old. She was 23 years old and said that to me, you
But
know?
it, but it took you,
Mm-hmm.
and it took courage,
Mhm.
because a lot of people don't make those kind of changes and follow their big dreams that they let go of, midlife. Takes a lot of courage.
And
Yeah.
it's still taking courage. It's
Mm-hmm.
still, I can say that it didn't take courage for me to get up every day, because when people are counting on me, I show up.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to show up. One thing is, I'm dependable. You can bank
Mm-hmm.
on that. So the fact that I had people counting on me, I was getting out of bed and I was going to make shit happen. You can bet on that. But now that we've transitioned from that and we're in a place of kind of pivoting to something else, it still takes courage to show up, because now I got to show up for investors. I got to show up and sell the dream. I got to sell, and
Mhm.
so it still takes all of that. Um, and I will still say it took courage for me to even introduce the cast members to family members,
Mm-hmm.
because you never know how people are going to receive things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, my sister, who is, Sam's mother, and how she would feel about this woman who is acting as if she's lost a child, and how that would translate into, but they just gelled so well. And they have such a strong, loving relationship with each other that it's just so beautiful. So beautiful.
Wow. I just got a vision that they're going to be at the Academy Awards. And as she's getting her award, she's going to be thanking your sister for um, being that great person who showed up and helped her to be that
Mhm.
actress. Yeah, I just saw that.
Yes. It's just so many moments like that. Even the person who's playing myself, it
That must have been an interesting cast.
really was, because there's some twist to that. She's
Mm-hmm.
related to my husband, number one.
Wow.
She auditioned to play me, number two. And we have the same birthday.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
maybe she just knew she could.
Are you the same age too?
He probably impersonates you at family holidays. And she's like, oh,
Right.
bag.
I've played Drusilla in a feature film.
Yes. It's so funny because the team members would always laugh every time she was performing, because they would say, oh my gosh, she sounds just like you. Oh my God.
Oh my God. I can't wait to see it. Oh my
Me
gosh.
too.
That's so funny.
Well, would we get some background on your niece if is her life on Google or her story on Google? Can we tease ourselves and do a little look-see before the film comes out?
So say right now, the best place to find her would be on Facebook. Everything she did up till, she transitioned is still out there. So there's like a lot of Facebook Live. She was on a radio station for a while promoting artists. And yeah, so Samantha Steady Rocking Rogers.
Steady,
And
steady rocking Rogers. I love
yeah, I mean, there's just so many things. I mean, there was even a moment when she was hospitalized where the guy, the EMT that went to pick her up, for some reason, he was compelled to Google her
Mm.
and told us. And he said, I don't know. I was just compelled to tell you all that I Googled her and her life story. And I'm just so amazed. So there's just so many nuances about the story that makes it so amazing.
Mhm.
And she always told me as a little girl that she was going to be famous.
Wow.
And maybe that's a part of my compelling, you know,
Desire to do it.
yeah, and it was always just like, yeah, I bet you are, you know.
Well, what do you think that Samantha would want people to take away from the film?
Um, Everything that we talk about on our podcast every day.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just having faith, trust, and loyalty to yourself, you know. And that's the name of the film, Loyalty Over Everything.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you for sharing all that. It's really wonderful. I can't wait to see it. And yeah, thank you for sharing. Does anyone have anything else?
Oh gosh, I'm sure. But
Well, I'm gonna look her up. I'm gonna kind of get to know her a little bit, and then look forward to the movie
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
Thank
Sounds
you for
beautiful.
Thank
And what
you
I
all for
heard,
allowing me to share. And thanks for the questions. They're not, questions that I've thought about, but it is good to kind of articulate what I was going through, and because it's not, some of the things aren't things that I would necessarily talk to with the team or anyone else, but I enjoy sharing with you all.
Yeah. It's inspiring. I'm sure others who have abandoned their dreams might be inspired. I mean, every day is a new opportunity to start over again.
Mhm.
it
Sorry,
is,
Penny, what were
yeah.
you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that what I heard you say very clearly, oops, my Post-it just fell out of my hand, is take the leap with faith. And that's what I heard you saying, doing every day
Yeah.
is
Yes.
yeah. Yeah. And you know what else too? I heard you say too, that I kind of made it up, but stay in your power, your peace, and your purpose, and all will be well or okay.
Yes.
That's what I heard you say. So that's beautiful.
Yes, most definitely.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Love that. Awesome. It's so good to have you back, Drusilla. We missed you.
So good.
That's true.
I didn't really miss you all because y'all were with me on the set every time.
Oh, that would have been fun to be on the set with you in real life.
We'll go to
Next
the
time.
award shows.
Well, and her next film, maybe we can do it then.
You'll have to come to the premiere, so you all can
yes.
tell them y'all knew me when.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have to dress in yellow?
Oh, that would be fun. I love it. Okay, Morgan, take us away.
Okay. Thank you so much, Drusilla, for sharing all that with us. It's been so fun hearing all of that and inspiring. And thank you to all of our listeners. We love you. Check out our website, fivelemonslaughing.com, which is getting a facelift soon, I believe. And please follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And our handle is 5 Lemons Laughing on all of those. And if you enjoy our show, please share it with a friend or someone that you think might like it. Help spread the good word. And we will see you all in 1 week.
I just want to make a quick shout out to my friend Tom Watts, who listened in.
Oh, yeah.
And
Hi, Tom.
yeah, I'm hoping he'll listen again. He's not into all this spiritual stuff, but he found it really quite interesting. And
Cool.
so, yeah.
Thanks for listening, Tom.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a great week.